Greetings. For this video right here, I'm going to title it, What Does It Mean to Be Black? And it's going to be starring the late Reverend, Minister, and activist, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Reason why I'm going here is because all throughout, not just America, but throughout the whole world, there's this glorified image of Dr. King as this benevolent figure who is all about global unity with everyone, right? Globalism, everybody coming together, holding hands, and singing the words of what he called that old Negro spiritual that he so eloquently and gracefully delivered in his iconic I Have a Dream speech. And those things, for the most part, from my perspective, sound good on paper. Why is that? Because, first off, in regards to wanting to come together, everyone, we as a people, speaking of quote unquote black people, we want to come together with each other, right? So how can you, so if you can't come together with your own brother and sister, how can you expect to come together with everyone else? When everyone else, for the most part, sees what's plaguing us in our communities, in particular our households, right? And for the most part, they know that we're very sick, right? So why do they want to come together with us for if we're in that condition? They had nothing to gain. So that's why it's best in that regard to come together with each other first and foremost from that area. Another thing too, they want to keep you enraptured with that image, particularly of Dr. King right there, especially in regards to quote unquote Black History Month that we're currently in, which is about almost over, but still. However, this side of Dr. King in particular that I'm going to show in this video right here is the Dr. King that they don't want you to know about. Because for the most part, this version of Dr. King was more radicalized. And, and to a degree, for good reason. So we're going to delve into this video here, see what he has to say. Because he's going to make some relatively really good points about the term black and what it really means, as opposed to how we believe the term to be. So anyway, he's going to talk about it. I'm going to chime in here and know my commentary. Let's get it.
I come here tonight and plead with you. Believe in yourself and believe that you're somebody. As I said to a group last night, nobody else can do this for us. No document can do this for us. No Lincolnian Emancipation Proclamation can do this for us. No Kennysonian or Johnsonian Civil Rights Bill can do this for us. If the Negro is to be free, he must move down into the inner resources of his own soul and sign with a pen and ink of self-assertive manhood his own Emancipation Proclamation.
Absolutely agree with that. Yes. As he just stated, no document, no Smithsonian Civil Rights Bill, right? No laws on paper, no people, particularly no men, even men of great stature, can liberate our people. All right. The only and only entity who can liberate us from our current condition is the Most High through His Son, Christ, the Messiah. That's the only way it's going to be done. All right. Even though we've had uh, men in past time, like a Dr. King, like a Malcolm X, like a Frederick Douglass, Marcus Garvey, amongst others, and even women like Harriet Tubman, Ida B. Wells, Soldier of Truth, even though they meant well to a degree in their own particular way, for the most part, um, all of them, well, I wouldn't say all of them, but some of them had certain agendas that were in conglomerate with our agenda, if that makes sense. So that's why, even though we look to these people for inspiration, for the most part, they can't really liberate us because our problems are not physical nor even carnal. Our problems are spiritual, and they can only be solved spiritually.
Don't let anybody take your manhood.
I definitely agree with that part right there, especially in regards to we as black men, because our manhood has been chipped away at for a very long time. Especially now, I mean, all throughout time and history. I mean, just for example, hell, just in American history alone, especially when you look at the Great Society that was established by, Lyndon Baines Johnson, right during the late '60s, going into the '70s, with the start of the feminist movement. Through that whole program alone, that would just kick black men out the homes, right? Brothers who were good fathers and good husbands, presiding over their homes, right? That's what happened to them, as opposed to just brothers who were just voluntarily just walking out. All right. So you can't just address that side without addressing the other side as well. And also in regards to manhood, many times we as black men are told that we're not good leaders, seeing as how many of us do not even reside within our own households. There is validity to that statement. Whether or not we were kicked out of the home or we just walked out voluntarily. It happened in both cases. So based on what everyone else sees in regards to what goes on with us, we can't expect to always keep wondering why we're viewed the way we viewed, and yet not look at the problems that still plagues us. All right. At the end of the day, it all goes back to what we're supposed to do and the solutions that we're supposed to come up with to solve these problems. All right. That's what it means to be a man, but more so to be a king.
Be proud of our heritage. As somebody said earlier tonight, we don't have anything to be ashamed of. Somebody told a lie one day. They
Of course. They've been lying to our people for years, man, in many ways, through the education system, through academia, particularly within college universities, even going back as far as, you know, maybe kindergarten on up, especially when it regards to topics like slavery, race, racism, race relations, right? And also in regards to television, through the media, movies, sitcoms. and also even to the church system. Those are the many ways that they've diluted our history and they've shown a false image of who we are as opposed to the true image of who we really are. It's called it's all about, you know, keeping us enslaved mentally. The physical chains have been off our people for over 100 years. All right. Even with that, as bad as physical chains were, mental chains are even worse. All right. A lot worse. And that's why people got mad at Kanye West when he made that statement about mental slavery. That's what he was talking about, by the way. He wasn't talking about our people just choosing voluntarily to be slaves. That's not the case at all. He's talking about, despite the fact that we're no longer in those chains, that as a collective, we're still going through mental slavery. All right. So, again, the solution comes to us liberating ourselves through wisdom, knowledge, and understanding at the end of the day.
Couched it in language. They made everything black, ugly, and evil. Look in your dictionary and see the synonyms of the word black. It's always something degrading and low and sinister. Look at the word white. It's always something pure, high, and clean.
Ding! There we go. That's the main part that I wanted to get to in this video. And this is the part here that should really alert a lot of these, these pro-blacks out here, who are all about their pro-blackness and things of that nature. It's amazing too. For people who remember the movie CB4, right back in the day, about 1994, starring Chris Rock and Alan Payne. I remember there was a scene in that movie where man Alan Payne, he had that whole African attire on with the hat, the suit, and I think it was a couple medallions or something. He was like in a long little music video. He was saying things like, "Bro, I'm blackity black, I'm black, y'all." And he was repeating it over and over again. Like, you don't see anybody of any other race doing silly stuff like that. All right, you don't see no Caucasian man doing that, no Arab man doing that, East Indian doing that, African, Middle Eastern, I mean Jewish, Switzerland, Italian, Polish, Irish, etc. You don't see anyone of any of those demographics, etc. on up doing stuff like that because they have a much stronger culture than we do for right now, right? They have a understanding of their lineage, their customs, traditions, values, norms, etc., which encompasses culture. And that's what's missing from us. We talk about things like race and class, which is validity in both areas. But the one aspect that's missing the most is culture at the end of the day. All right? And that's what happens when you accept these terms like black, white, brown, red, or yellow. Because people don't have the ability to look into who they are, because back then, during ancient times, ancient biblical times, also known as antiquity, they had documents that had listed who their forefathers were. So they had a much better understanding of who they came from through that alone. But unfortunately, we don't have that today, for the most part. Now, of course, you'll have certain people who take DNA tests, right? And that's cool. That's fine. But for the most part, a lot of people subscribe to the color coding system, and we wonder why these racial conversations for the most part, go nowhere. All right. It's the equivalent of running in a maze, or a dog chasing his own tail, or a hamster on the wheel.
But I want to get the language right tonight. I want to get the language so right that everybody here will cry out, yes, I'm black, I'm proud of it, I'm black and beautiful.
Yes, absolutely. We should definitely get the language right in regards to our true identity. Now, of course, as I mentioned just a few seconds ago, that um, black again is just a color. But I understand from Dr. King's standpoint, like if you're going to call yourself black, at least say you're black and you're proud. Be proud of it. You shouldn't be proud of it, not from identity perspective, but be proud of it that every day look in the mirror, you should be happy with what you see because the way you're created. All right, your skin tone in itself is beautiful. Your hair, everything about you is what you should feel proud of. Your looks, um, your style, your gifts, your talents, everything that you were blessed with since birth by the Most High God, the Creator. All right, that's what those things you should be proud of. All right. Now you shouldn't not be proud of this colors, which according again, Dr. King admitted, according to your dictionary, means dark, ugly, right? And other synonyms that support that, as opposed to white and all the positive synonyms that come with it. And that's why the elites of this world um, divide everybody based on color lines, because they want to keep that racism narrative going, because it's very lucrative and it's best at keeping both sides and other people involved at odds with each other, at each other's throats, right? Talking about something that for the most part has no solution, because number one, many people, particularly many of our people, don't even know what our true race is, as opposed to what we've been told what it is. And number two, most importantly, nobody can change their race, right? The same as a leopard can't change his spots. The same thing. So that's why what we should do is, instead of just focusing on these trivial things like color, what we should be focusing on is what we can do to alleviate the problems in our communities. And it starts with the men of our communities. The men who, for the most part, are just in silence, just trying to drown out the noise and figuring out what they can and what need to be done, what they need to do. And it starts with individual upon individual, house upon house. And once that happens, then when we come together to give forth solutions to our problems, the majority of them will disappear like that. All right? But anyway, that's it for this video. I found it to be very interesting. And this right here in itself is, again, a very good reason why they don't want you to know about this side of Dr. King. All right? This radical sign of Dr. King, which in itself is what true wokeness is about, as opposed to the pseudo wokeness that we have today. Anyway, that's a wrap. I'm out.